It's been over a decade since Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 disappeared without a trace. 239 people vanished. No confirmed wreckage, no black box, nothing. But now in 2025, a new theory backed by data and satellite signals is shaking everything we thought we knew. What if the plane didn't crash where we searched? What if someone was controlling it from the outside? Now, this isn't a conspiracy. This is based on real evidence, and the implications are massive. The data suggests that an external force was manipulating the plane's trajectory, and then the plane went off course and crashed into the water. But here's the twist. The search for MH370 was based on the assumption that it had crashed somewhere over the Indian Ocean. But what if it didn't? What if it crashed somewhere else entirely? This is a developing story. More details will be released soon. And you need to hear this because it's not just a story about a missing plane. It's a story about the limits of our knowledge and the power of believing in the impossible. Could this be the breakthrough we've been waiting for? But before we dive in, don't forget to like and follow for more real stories. On March 8, 2014, Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 vanished without a trace. Now, in 2025, a shocking new theory suggests we may have been looking in the wrong place all along. As we all know by now, on March 2014, the Boeing 777 took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport bound for Beijing. But somewhere over the Indian Ocean, the plane veered off course and lost altitude. Despite attempts by air traffic controllers to make contact, the plane was completely silent. No distress call, no response to radio frequencies. It was as if the aircraft and everyone on board had simply evaporated into thin air. The disappearance of MH370 sent shockwaves around the globe. Families of the passengers and crew waited anxiously for updates, but the Malaysian authorities were baffled. Without any solid leads, they were in the dark just like the rest of us. In the aftermath, a massive search effort was launched, combing through vast swaths of the Indian Ocean. Authorities believed that the plane had gone down over the water based on the last known radar data. They focused their efforts in an area that became known as the search zone. Even today, the ocean floor in this region remains heavily surveyed, yet despite all the high-tech equipment and countless hours spent scanning the seabed, no concrete evidence of the missing jet has ever been found. This has led many to question the validity of the original search parameters. Could it be that the investigators were chasing a phantom lead and that the plane is still out there somewhere else? So what's the latest news on this perplexing mystery? What are the experts saying? And is there any hope of finally solving this riddle after so many years? We'll get to that right after this. Now back to the topic. One of the most debated aspects of the MH370 case is the plane's final destination or crash site. Initially, the prevailing theory was that the plane went down in the southern Indian Ocean. Based on satellite data analysis by the multinational Inmarsat, their assessment indicated that the plane made a series of calculated maneuvers to divert away from its scheduled route before ultimately succumbing to mechanical issues or running out of fuel over the water. This hypothesis led to an extensive search operation focusing on a specific region of the Indian Ocean. However, recent developments suggest that there might be more to the story. Enter Richard Godfrey, an aviation expert who proposes a radical new theory. His analysis challenges the widely accepted notion that MH370 crashed in the Indian Ocean. Instead, he suggests that the plane may have been electronically hijacked using cutting-edge jamming technology to disrupt communications and navigation systems. According to Godfrey's theory, the plane's transponder, which broadcasts its location and altitude, was disabled, rendering the plane invisible to radar. The sophisticated jamming equipment would have allowed the plane to bypass conventional tracking methods, leading authorities astray. But that's not all. Godfrey's theory takes a surprising turn when we consider the plane's final destination. He posits that instead of crashing in the Indian Ocean, MH370 landed safely somewhere in Central Asia. This unexpected twist raises more questions than it answers. Why would the hijackers disable the transponder only to land the plane safely? And how did the plane manage to go undetected as it flew over land? Despite these unanswered questions, Godfrey's theory has some merit. He supports his argument with compelling evidence gleaned from a trove of satellite data. By analyzing variations in the signals between the plane and the satellite, Godfrey was able to identify multiple possible flight paths. One of these paths, known as WSPR or Weak Signal Propagation Reporter, caught his attention. This particular signal showed that the plane continued flying for several hours after it disappeared from civilian radar. If this data is accurate, it suggests that MH370 remained airborne long after it was presumed to have crashed. Moreover, the WSPR data indicates that the plane traveled northwards towards Central Asia, rather than continuing on a southerly trajectory towards the Indian Ocean. This discovery has profound implications for the ongoing investigation. If the plane did indeed fly to Central Asia, then the search efforts focused on the wrong area. All those years spent scouring the Indian Ocean may have been in vain. To To further bolster his claims, Godfrey utilized a new method to analyze the available data. This innovative approach involves a detailed examination of the signals sent between the plane and the satellite. By scrutinizing these signals, he was able to calculate the exact location of the plane at various points during its journey. One such calculation sheds light on the plane's behavior. After it turned off its transponder, the device that broadcasts its location and altitude, Godfrey discovered that the plane maintained a steady altitude and continued flying for an extended period. This finding contradicts the notion that the plane went down in a remote area of the Indian Ocean. If it had done so, the plane's altitude would have changed dramatically as it impacted the water. Instead, the data suggests that someone was at the controls keeping the plane level, indicating that the plane was likely under the control of a skilled pilot or programmed to fly a specific course. But there's more. Using this same analysis, Godfrey was able to determine the plane's speed and direction. He found that the plane was traveling at approximately 450 knots, which is roughly 516 miles per hour. This speed is unusual because it's faster than the typical cruising speed of a Boeing 777. The fact that the plane was flying at an elevated speed suggests that the pilot or autopilot system was engaged, indicating deliberate control over the aircraft. Moreover, the plane's direction shifted, deviating from its original route by 60 degrees. This change in course steered the plane away from its intended trajectory and could explain why the plane's final resting place remains a mystery. Godfrey's analysis has shed new light on this puzzling case, but it's important to note that it's just one piece of the larger puzzle. Other experts have expressed skepticism about his findings, pointing to the lack of concrete evidence. However, Godfrey remains steadfast in his belief that the data he analyzed is accurate, and that the plane did indeed fly to Central Asia. He emphasizes that the sophistication of the electronic hijacking methods used means that there would be little to no trace of the incident. In the absence of physical evidence, Godfrey's theory offers a compelling narrative to explain the disappearance of MH370. It provides a plausible explanation for why the plane's wreckage has not been found, and why communication systems failed to detect any signs of distress. If his theory holds true, it would mean that the world has been searching for the wrong plane in the wrong place all these years. This revelation would undoubtedly shake up the investigation and prompt a complete re-evaluation of the available evidence. It's possible that new search efforts will focus on areas in Central Asia, but it remains to be seen whether this will uncover any answers. Despite the controversy surrounding Godfrey's theory, it serves as a reminder that there is still much that we don't know about the disappearance of MH370. As investigations continue and new technologies emerge, there is always hope that this enduring mystery will eventually be solved. In 2015, an independent research group released thermal radar imagery purportedly showing a large object resting on the ocean floor. The anomaly was spotted in an area of the Indian Ocean that had not been previously explored. This discovery sparked interest, as it could potentially be linked to the missing plane. However, subsequent investigations conducted by the Australian Transport Safety Bureau, ATSB, failed to validate the imagery. Despite these setbacks, the ATSB acknowledged the need to continue exploring all potential leads in the investigation. They emphasized that the search area, while extensive, still encompassed a significant portion of the southern Indian Ocean. In light of these findings, the focus of the investigation shifted back to the existing search area. The ATSB, along with other international agencies, continued to analyze various datasets and conduct underwater searches within the designated region. Over the years, several items believed to be from MH370 have washed up on shores across the Indian Ocean. These include pieces of the plane's interior, personal belongings of the passengers and crew, and even portions of the aircraft's exterior. While these discoveries have provided some closure to the families of the victims, they haven't yielded any significant insights into the cause of the disappearance. As the investigation enters its third decade, there is growing pressure to find a definitive answer. Many families are calling for a renewed effort using modern technology and updated satellite analysis. They argue that new methods and equipment can scan larger areas more efficiently and accurately, increasing the chances of locating the missing plane. Some experts also advocate for revisiting the controversial WPR data, which suggests that the plane flew to Central Asia. If this theory holds true, it could revolutionize the search efforts as it would shift the focus to a completely different region. However, such a move would face significant opposition from those who believe that the search should remain confined to the original area. So the question remains, could this be the answer to one of aviation's biggest mysteries? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and follow for more deep dives into real-world mysteries. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions. After all, it's through our curiosity that we unravel the deepest mysteries of the universe.